A golden colossus steps across the skin of reality. His mind is vast enough that, with a single thought, he could crush a star. The Emperor gazes out over this untouched universe, pure, unspoiled, bearing no stain of chaos. Yours, common twine of need, what the warriors born here draw their power, their key, from within, not from the psychic currents of the warp. He regards a blue-haired heir tearing mountains apart, as if they were nothing, unaware of mankind's true destiny. In this cosmos, mortals toy with godhood, while humanity itself remains shackled to a lone world. Will the Emperor raise mankind to ascension through liberation, or will he bring down the Imperium's iron order upon a universe that has never known true darkness? Gold, blazing, impossible gold that should have seared mortal sight, poured like a tide across the desolate wastes of planet Vegeta. The light came not from any sun, but from a being who stood motionless upon the cracked red earth. Where the golden radiance touched the ground, withered plants burst into sudden bloom, their stems reaching toward the figure as if in worship. Overhead, storm clouds that had gathered for weeks dissipated in spiraling patterns, revealing a sky turned bronze by his presence. The figure was a man, yet not a man. Standing nearly 12 tall, his armor gleamed with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around its edges. His face remained hidden behind a mask of shadows. Despite the brilliance emanating from his form, only his eyes were visible, burning like twin stars that had witnessed the birth and death of galaxies. Science gathered on distant ridges, their scouters exploding one after another as they attempted to measure the stranger's power. Many fell to their knees, blood trickling from their eyes, ears, and noses as the psychic pressure overwhelmed their senses. Those closest to the golden giant collapsed entirely, their minds shattered by proximity to something their reality had never been meant to contain. The Emperor of Mankind raised one gauntlet hand, examining it with mild curiosity. The transition had been unexpected. One moment he had been seated upon the golden throne, his physical form a withered husk sustained by the sacrifices of 1,000 psychers daily. His mind stretched across the stars, maintaining the Astronomicon and holding back the predations of the warp. Then came the cataclysm. The throne's mechanisms had failed catastrophically after 10,000 years of operation. And in that moment of systems collapse, his consciousness had been violently ejected from his universe. Yet somehow, impossibly, he found himself whole again, not merely conscious, but incarnate. His body restored to the glory it had possessed during the Great Crusade, and around him, a universe teeming with life, but devoid of the warp's corrupting influence. A universe where humanity existed, but had never known the horrors of chaos or the necessity of the Imperium. "My lord," a voice called out tremulously. The Emperor turned his gaze upon a Sand warrior who had managed to approach within 50 paces before dropping to one knee. The warrior's armor was cracked, blood seeping from his nose, yet through sheer force of will, he remained conscious. "What manner of god are you?" the Saiyan asked, his voice quavering. "Are you the one the legends speak of, the Super Saiyan god?" The Emperor considered the question. "I am no god," he replied, his voice resonating not merely through air but through the minds of all within miles. "Though men have worshipped me as such, I am the master of mankind, its guardian and guide toward its ultimate destiny among the stars." The Saiyan's eyes widened. "The Saiyans serve Lord Frieza now. We conquer worlds in his name." "Frieza," the Emperor repeated, the name unfamiliar on his tongue. "This being claims lordship over your kind, over much of the known universe," the warrior replied. "His power is unmatched." The Emperor's expression remained impassive, but the golden light around him intensified. "No longer," he said simply. "Rise, warrior, and witness the dawn of a new age. Humanity and its allies shall claim their rightful place in this universe, as they have in another, and any who stand against this manifest destiny shall be swept aside. Across the galaxy, sensitive minds suddenly staggered under a psychic pressure never before experienced in their universe. On Earth, Master Roshi dropped a magazine of questionable content as a headache unlike any he had known lanced through his skull. At Kami's lookout, the Guardian of Earth gasped and clutched his staff for support as he felt a presence enter their reality. A presence that seemed to dwarf even the Kamis themselves. And in the quiet mountains, training under increased gravity, Goku suddenly stopped mid-punch, his expression serious as he turned his gaze skyward. "What is it, Kakarot?" Vegeta demanded, noticing his rival's distraction. "Something just arrived," Goku said quietly. "Something powerful, more powerful than anything I've ever felt." Vegeta scoffed. "More powerful than Boo, than Beerus." Goku did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice had lost all its characteristic cheerfulness. "It feels different, not just strong, but vast."
Like an ocean of power instead of a river. Across the training field, Piccolo had also frozen in place, sweat beading on his green skin despite the cool mountain air. "It feels like millions of voices suddenly crying out at once," the Neomechian said, not in pain, but in worship. On the planet Vegeta, the Emperor strode through the capital city, Saiyans falling to their knees in his wake. Some tried to resist the compulsion, fighting the urge with all their legendary willfulness. But even the strongest among them could not stand before his presence for long. With each step, his understanding of this new reality expanded, knowledge flowing into his mind from the thoughts of those around him. This universe operated under different physical laws than his own. Here energy called Ki flowed through all living things, a power that could be harnessed through training and discipline. It was not unlike the psychic energies of his reality, yet distinct. Where psychers drew power from the warp, these warriors manifested power from within their very being. Most intriguing was the absence of the Imperium, as he had known it. There existed higher planes, dimensions beyond the material, but nothing like the sting madness of the warp. No chaos gods lurked here, no demons waited to corrupt the minds of psychers. This universe was clean, uncorrupted, a fresh slate upon which to write the destiny of mankind. As nightfall came to Vegeta, the Emperor stood upon the highest spire of the royal palace, his gaze turned toward the stars. Somewhere among them was Earth, this reality's cradle of humanity. His presence here was no accident. He decided the universe had a pattern, a design that transcended individual realities. Mankind was meant to rise, to seize its rightful dominion among the stars. And he, the Emperor, was the architect of that ascension. "This universe shall know order," he said into the vastness. "It shall know the light of the Imperium." Across space, Frieza sat rigid on his hovering throne, the wine glass in his three-fingered hand shattered, crystal shards biting into his flesh. Purple blood dripped freely from his palm, unnoticed. His entire focus was locked on the view screen before him, where planet Vegeta was now shrouded in a blazing golden aura visible even from orbit. "What?" he asked in a dangerously soft tone, "is happening to my planet?" Dodoria shifted uneasily. "Unknown Lord Frieza, we lost contact with the surface 3 hours ago. All scouters failed simultaneously, and the readings we received before they shut down." Zarbon cleared his throat. "The final transmission indicated a power level beyond anything we have ever recorded, my lord. The scouters could not assign a numerical value before they overloaded." Frieza's tail whipped against the side of his throne. "Beyond anything ever recorded," he repeated. "Beyond mine." Neither lieutenant dared confirm aloud. "Set course for Vegeta," Frieza ordered, his voice colder than the void itself. "I will examine this anomaly personally, and if the Saiyans have found some means of challenging my rule, I will remind them of their place in my empire."
While Frieza's vessel cut through space toward Vegeta, the Emperor had already begun remolding Saiyan society in his own image. Those who resisted his will had their minds crushed beneath the sheer weight of his psychic dominance. Those who submitted were granted sharpened purpose and heightened strength, their ki refined and focused under his influence to levels previously unimaginable. Within the royal throne room, the Emperor now sat upon the Saiyan King's seat, hastily altered to bear his towering stature. Before him knelt the planet's mightiest warriors, their heads bowed in obedience. The being known as Frieza approaches, the Emperor declared. He comes to challenge us. The Saiyans tensed, their fear rolling off them in tangible waves. They had served Frieza because they had no choice, knowing his might eclipsed even their strongest. You fear him, the Emperor observed. That fear is a weakness. We shall strip it from you. Rise and make ready for war. Today you shall witness the dawn of your liberation. As the Saiyans rushed to obey, the Emperor remained seated, extending his mind outward until it brushed the consciousness of the incoming tyrant. What he found was a creature of immense power by this universe's standards, but crude in thought, driven by petty sadism and the illusion of divinity. Such insolence, such ignorance of true godhood. The Emperor rose from the throne, his golden aura flaring outward until it flooded the palace, the capital, the entire world in radiant light. Through the eyes of every living being on Vegeta, he watched Frieza's ship punch through the atmosphere, a white disk descending toward the central landing platform of the capital. Time for this universe to learn the meaning of true power. Frieza stepped from his ship flanked by elite guards, his expression frozen into a mask of controlled fury. The landing pad should have been crowded with kneeling Saiyans, groveling in anticipation of his arrival. Instead, it stood empty save for a single figure at the far edge, wreathed in golden fire. The tyrant's scouter exploded the instant it tried to register the stranger's power level. Frieza flicked away the smoking device, with his tail red eyes narrowing. "Who are you?" he called, voice deceptively pleasant, to stand before Lord Frieza unannounced and uninvited. The golden giant did not move, yet his words carried across the distance with perfect clarity. "I am the Emperor of mankind. This world and its warriors now stand under my protection." Frieza laughed, the sound sharp and jagged as broken glass. "Emperor, how quaint. I'm afraid you are mistaken, stranger. This planet belongs to me, as do all the Saiyans who infest it. If you wish to claim them, you must first contend with me."
"So be it," the Emperor replied. Without warning, Frieza launched himself forward, moving so fast the air boomed in his wake. His fist, strong enough to crack planets, smashed into the Emperor's chest and stopped dead. The Emperor had not moved, had not raised a hand. The blow that had obliterated worlds and erased species did nothing more than send a faint ripple across the golden field surrounding the master of mankind. Frieza's eyes widened in disbelief, then narrowed with hatred. He sprang back and lifted a single finger toward the sky. A small orange sphere formed at its tip, swelling rapidly until it towered over him, a condensed star of annihilation, potent enough to grind planets to dust. "Die with your precious," Frieza screamed, hurling the supernova attack directly at the Emperor. The death ball streaked across the landing pad, its heat turning the stone to slag beneath it. The Emperor observed its approach with academic interest, raising one hand as the sphere of annihilation drew near. The supernova attack, feared throughout the galaxy, simply stopped in midair before the Emperor's outstretched palm. For a moment, it hung there, a miniature sun barely contained, before collapsing in upon itself like a bubble being popped. No explosion, no shock wave, simply nothing, as if the attack had never existed. Frieza stumbled backward, genuine fear crossing his face for the first time in centuries. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am humanity's future," the Emperor replied, and took a single step forward. Golden light exploded outward from his form, enveloping Frieza in its brilliance. The tyrant screamed, a sound that cut off abruptly as his body contorted, twisting in upon itself as if crushed by an invisible hand. His troops fell to the ground, blood pouring from their eyes as their minds were overwhelmed by the psychic backlash. When the light receded, Frieza lay broken upon the landing pad, his white and purple form cracked like porcelain, golden energy seeping from the fissures in his body. He still lived, but only barely, his legendary durability allowing him to survive what should have been unsurvivable. The Emperor stood over the fallen tyrant, his expression unchanging. "Your empire is ended," he stated simply. "Those who served you shall now serve me, or they shall join you in oblivion." Across the galaxy, word spread of Frieza's defeat with impossible speed, as if the very fabric of space itself carried the news from world to world. On a 100 planets, warriors who had served the tyrant out of fear found themselves suddenly free, yet also strangely drawn toward the golden presence that had emerged on planet Vegeta. Many resisted the pull, others surrendered to it, setting course for the San home world to pledge themselves to this new power. And on Earth, the Zed fighters gathered at Capsule Corporation, their faces grave as they discussed the implications of what they had sensed. "Frieza's energy just vanished," Krillin said, his voice hushed with disbelief. "1 minute it was there, then it just winked out, not vanished," Piccolo corrected. Overwhelmed, something consumed his ki, absorbed it like a sponge soaking up water. Vegeta stood apart from the others, his arms crossed tightly over his chest, his expression thunderous. "Whatever this being is, it has taken my home world," he growled. "The planet of my birth is under occupation by an unknown entity, powerful enough to crush Frieza without effort." Bulma looked up from her computer console. "I've been monitoring communications across space. Every planet formerly under Frieza's control is in chaos. Some are reporting a golden light spreading across their skies, accompanied by voices in their heads, urging them to join something called the Imperium. Mind control," Piccolo said grimly. On a galactic scale, Goku had remained silent throughout the discussion, his expression uncharacteristically serious. Now he spoke, his voice quiet, but firm. "We need to investigate. If this being defeated Frieza so easily, and is now taking over his empire, Earth could be next. Investigate." Vegeta spat. "You mean confront Kakarot? Whatever this entity is, it has no right to claim Saiyan allegiance. We should contact King Kai," Goku suggested. "Maybe he knows something about this emperor." High above Earth on the sacred world of the Kais, an emergency council had been convened. The 4 Kais of the cardinal directions along with the Supreme Kai gathered in solemn conclave for the first time in millions of years. "This should not be possible," West Kai insisted, pacing nervously. "No mortal being should possess such power, nor should any entity from another dimension be able to cross into our reality with its powers intact. And yet it has happened," East Kai replied grimly. "This emperor has breached the walls between universes and brought with him a power unlike any we have seen." Supreme Kai, youngest of their order, but highest in authority, remained silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of ancient wisdom. "This being comes from a universe where the divine and the mortal are not so clearly separated as in ours. His power stems from the collective psychic potential of his species, amplified across millennia, until it approached godhood. In his reality, he stood as a bulwark against forces we can scarcely comprehend." "You sound as if you admire him," North Kai accused. "I recognize what he is," Supreme Kai corrected. "A being of order and purpose, who has sacrificed everything to preserve his species. But his methods are absolute, his vision unyielding. He will reshape our universe to match his ideal, if unchecked. Then we must act," South Kai declared. "No," Supreme Kai raised a hand. "Direct confrontation would be disastrous. This emperor's power operates on principles foreign to our reality. We cannot predict the consequences of divine intervention." "Then what do you propose?" West Kai demanded. "We watch, we wait, and we place our trust in the champions who have defended our universe before." Back on Earth, Goku had made contact with King Kai through telepathy. his expression growing increasingly troubled as he received information. When he opened his eyes, the others could see a new resolve in his face. King Kai says, "This emperor comes from another universe entirely." Goku explained, "A universe at war where humanity fights for survival against terrible enemies. He ruled an empire spanning millions of worlds, guiding and protecting humanity. So, he's one of the good guys?" Krillin asked hopefully. Goku shook his head. King Kai says his empire was built on absolute control. Worlds that refused to join were conquered or destroyed. Species that could not be controlled were exterminated. All in the name of humanity's survival and dominance. "Sounds familiar," Piccolo growled, glancing at Vegeta. The Sand Prince ignored the barb, and now he has taken my home world as the first step in building a new empire here. "We have to stop him before he reaches Earth," Gokon said, adjusting his glasses nervously. "No," Goku's voice was firm. "We need to understand what we're dealing with first. I'm going to teleport to planet Vegeta to see this emperor for myself." "Are you insane, Kakarot?"
Vegeta demanded. "He's being defeated Frieza without effort." Goku's expression remained resolute. "Ed, that's why I need to go alone. If things go wrong, the rest of you need to be ready to defend Earth. I'm going with you," Vegeta said, tone leaving no room for debate. "It's my world he's taken, my people he's enslaved."
Goku hesitated only a heartbeat, then nodded.
"All right, but the rest of you stay here. If you don't hear from us within a day, assume the worst." Before anyone could object, Goku lifted 2 fingers to his forehead and set his other hand on Vegeta's shoulder. Focusing on the immense power he'd sensed across the void, he triggered his instant transmission. In an instant, both Saiyans vanished. They reappeared on planet Vegeta, materializing in what had once been the central plaza of the capital. What greeted them, froze them, where they stood. The plaza had been remade into a vast cathedral, its design utterly alien to anything native to the Saiyans. Soaring buttresses clawed at the sky, which now held a permanent golden cast, as if trapped in endless sunset. Statues of armored human warriors stood shoulder to shoulder with figures of Saiyans, their poses implying brotherhood in battle. At the very center towered a colossal statue of the Emperor, seated upon a throne of gold, one hand extended in blessing, the other gripping a flaming sword. Saiyan civilians moved through the square with quiet purpose, their faces calm in a way that felt entirely wrong for their volatile race. Many wore symbols resembling a double-headed eagle, an emblem neither Goku nor Vegeta recognized. "What has he done to them?" Vegeta whispered, horror and fury vying in his voice. Before Goku could respond, the crowd around them abruptly dropped to their knees, heads bowing as one. Golden light spilled across the plaza, and both Saiyans turned to see the Emperor himself approaching, flanked by an honor guard clad in ornate armor, a fusion of Saiyan design and the strange new aesthetic dominating the city. Up close, the Emperor's presence was overwhelming. Goku, who had stood before gods and destroyers, felt a pressure bear down on his mind unlike anything he'd ever encountered, a psychic weight that tried to force him into kneeling submission. Beside him, Vegeta was visibly straining against the same compulsion, veins standing out on his forehead as he fought to remain on his feet. The sons of Vegeta returned home. The Emperor's voice resonated, not only in their ears but in their thoughts. The lost and the abandoned, drawn back to the light of the Imperium. "What have you done to this planet?" Vegeta forced out, each word wrestled from his throat against the crushing psychic force. "I have elevated it," the Emperor replied, starfire burning in his eyes. "Where there was chaos, I have imposed order. Where strength existed without purpose, I have bestowed direction. You've enslaved them," Goku countered, his normally cheerful features set in grim disapproval. "I have freed them," the Emperor corrected, "as I shall free all worthy species in this universe from the prison of their own small-mindedness. The Saiyans are warriors by nature, yet they squandered their potential in service to a petty tyrant.
Now they shall serve mankind's ascension, as all things ultimately must. Goku stepped forward, ki flaring around him as he pushed back against the Emperor's suffocating influence. We're not going to let you take over our universe the way you did yours. The Emperor regarded him with something like genuine curiosity. You resist my will, impressive. Your potential eclipses that of your kin. We are Son Goku and Vegeta, Prince of all Saiyans, Goku said. And we're giving you one chance. Leave this planet in peace. For the first time, a hint of amusement touched the Emperor's shadowed features. You do not grasp what stands before you, Son Goku. I am not merely a conqueror or a monarch. I am humanity's shepherd, its shield against the dark. For 10,000 years, I sacrificed my body to preserve my species in a universe infinitely more hostile than your own. Now fate has granted me a second chance, a new form and a pristine cosmos in which to forge a perfect Imperium, unmarred by chaos. I don't care who you were in your universe, Vegeta snarled. In this one, you're just another invader. The Emperor's aura flared, intensifying, and Goku felt the psychic pressure double, driving him down onto one knee. Vegeta, by sheer will, remained standing, though sweat streamed down his face from the effort. You will care, Prince of a dead bloodline, the Emperor said. You will kneel as your subjects have, or be cast aside. This universe will know the light of the Imperium, and all within it will serve mankind's ascension or be consigned to extinction. With that, he turned away, dismissing them with a simple gesture. Return to your Earth. Contemplate what you have witnessed. When I come to claim humanity's cradle, you will have another chance to offer your allegiance to its rightful master. The invisible weight bearing down on them lessened, and Goku slowly forced himself back to his feet. We're not finished, he called out. The Emperor paused, but did not turn. For now you are. When you have glimpsed but a fraction of my vision, then we may speak again as warriors rather than as master and subjects. Until then, consider carefully the fate of those who stand against the inevitable. With that, the Emperor strode away, the golden light surrounding him so intense that his form seemed to dissolve into pure radiance. The Saiyan honor guard followed, leaving Goku and Vegeta alone in the plaza, surrounded by kneeling civilians who had yet to rise or acknowledge their presence. We need to get back to Earth, Goku said grimly. We need to prepare. Vegeta's face was a mask of rage and humiliation. He dismissed us, Kakarot. Treated us like children because to him that's what we are, Goku replied. But children can grow, come on. Placing his fingers to his forehead once more, Goku teleported them back to Earth, where the others waited anxiously for news. The tale they brought chilled even the most hardened warriors among them. Mind control on a planetary scale, Piccolo mused. And he defeated Frieza without apparent effort. He's coming here next, Goku said. He specifically mentioned Earth as humanity's birth world. Then we prepare for war, Vegeta declared. I will not see this world fall as Vegeta has. War against what? Bulma challenged. From what you've described, this Emperor is on another level entirely. Maybe we should try diplomacy. Diplomacy? Vegeta's laugh was harsh. Did you not hear us? He demands submission, nothing less. There's something else, Goku said quietly. When we were in his presence, I could sense his power isn't like ki. It's different. It feels infinite, but also strained, as if he's forcing it to work in our universe. A weakness? Piccolo asked sharply. Maybe, Goku said. King Kai mentioned that the Emperor comes from a universe with different physical laws. His power is psychic, drawing on something called the warp that doesn't exist here in the same way. He might be adapting his abilities to function in our reality. So if we push him hard enough, fast enough before he fully adapts, Vegeta reasoned, we might have a chance. It's worth trying. Goku agreed, but we'll need everyone. Goku sent contact Piccolo and the others. Bulma, can you reach We need everyone who can fight. And what about the Dragon Balls?
Krillin suggested. Could we wish him back to his own universe? Bulma shook her head. The balls were used recently to restore the damage from the tournament. They won't be active again for months. Then we fight, Goku said simply. We've faced impossible odds before. As the Z fighters prepared for the coming confrontation, gathering allies and training with renewed intensity, the Emperor continued his conquest of Frieza's former empire. Planet after planet fell to his influence, their populations bending to his will. Those with psychic potential found themselves elevated to positions of authority, acting as conduits for the Emperor's vision across the stars. Those who resisted were overwhelmed, or if truly obstinate, eliminated as examples to others. Within weeks, a third of the known galaxy acknowledged the authority of the Imperium of Man. Ships bearing the double-headed eagle insignia patrolled space lanes once dominated by Frieza's forces. Temples to the Emperor rose on 100 worlds, their spires reaching toward the stars as if in supplication. And on Earth, the Z fighters watched through Bulma's monitoring equipment as the golden light of the Emperor's influence crept ever closer to their world. He's moving faster than we anticipated, Piccolo observed, studying the star map where golden light had replaced the red of Frieza's former territory. At this rate, he'll reach Earth within days. Let him come, Vegeta growled. He had spent the intervening time training relentlessly, pushing himself beyond his limits in preparation for the coming battle. This time, we will be ready. Goku nodded grimly. He too had trained without rest, even enlisting Whis to provide special instruction. The Angel had been reluctant at first, citing non-inference policies regarding interdimensional incursions, but had eventually agreed to offer limited guidance. Remember what Whis told us? Goku said, the Emperor's power relies on dominating the mind. If we can shield our thoughts, resist his influence, we have a chance. Easy for you to say, Krillin muttered. Some of us don't have mental stubbornness. That's why you'll have these. Bulma interjected, presenting a case containing small devices resembling earpieces. I've been working on them since you returned. They generate a counter-frequency to the psychic waves we've detected from the Emperor's broadcasts. They won't block his influence entirely, but they should reduce it enough to keep your minds your own. As the defenders of Earth made their final preparations, a golden light appeared in the sky above West City. It began as a pinprick no larger than a star, but rapidly expanded until it illuminated the metropolis as if caught in midday sun despite the late hour. Citizens stopped in the streets, gazing upward in confusion and awe as the light continued to grow. Then he appeared. The Emperor manifested in the sky above Capsule Corporation, his massive form suspended in midair, golden light radiating from him in palpable waves. He wore full battle armor now, a masterwork of gold and ceramite that accentuated his towering stature. In one hand, he held a flaming sword that seemed to burn with the light of a sun. In the other, a staff topped with an eagle that shimmered with arcane energies, people of Earth. His voice resonated across the city, bypassing ears to speak directly into the minds of all who heard. I am the Emperor of Mankind, Master of 1,000,000 worlds, Guardian of the species. I come not as conqueror, but as liberator. Too long has humanity languished on this single world, unaware of its true potential, its manifest destiny among the stars. The citizens of West City found themselves unable to look away, their minds captivated by the golden figure and the weight of his words. Many fell to their knees spontaneously, tears streaming down their faces as they were overwhelmed by emotions they could not understand. Today marks the beginning of a new age for humanity. You shall take your rightful place as lords of creation with all other species serving your ascension. Rejoice, for you are the chosen of the universe, and I am your shepherd. The Emperor raised his flaming sword, and golden light exploded outward from it in a shock wave that swept across the city. Where it passed, humans found themselves filled with a sense of purpose and devotion they had never known. Their individual worlds subsumed into a greater collective dedicated to the Emperor and his Vegeta's vision. But at Capsule Corporation, the wave struck an invisible barrier. Bulma had activated a psychic dampening field around the compound, a hastily constructed defense based on her analysis of the Emperor's power. It would not hold for long, but it gave the Z fighters precious moments to prepare. Everyone ready? Goku asked, fastening Bulma's psychic dampener behind his ear. Around him, the other defenders of Earth nodded grimly, each wearing a similar device. Remember the plan, Piccolo said. We attack in waves, never giving him time to focus on any one of us. Vegeta, Gohan, and Goku have the best chance of actually hurting him, so the rest of us focus on distracting and disorienting. And if that fails, Krillin asked nervously. Then we die with honor, Vegeta answered. Now, let's go. They burst from the Capsule Corp building in formation, rising into the sky to confront the golden figure who hovered above them. The Emperor turned his burning gaze upon them, and even through the psychic dampeners, they could feel the weight of his will pressing against their minds. The defenders of this world, the Emperor observed. Science, Neo-Mechians, and humans united. A coalition not unlike those I have seen before. Temporary alliances against the inevitable. This is your only warning, Goku called out, his voice carrying despite the psychic pressure. Leave Earth in peace. This universe isn't yours to rule. The Emperor regarded him with something like paternal disappointment. Still, you resist what you cannot comprehend. Very well, if you must learn through conflict, then conflict you shall have. Without further preamble, the Emperor raised his sword and unleashed a wave of golden fire toward the assembled fighters. They scattered, barely avoiding the attack, which continued downward to strike the psychic dampening generator. Bulma had constructed, the device exploded in a shower of sparks. The barrier around Capsule Corporation collapsing instantly. Now Piccolo shouted, and the first wave of fighters surged forward. Teen, Yamcha, and Krillin attacked simultaneously, launching their signature techniques in perfect coordination. The Tri-Beam, Wolf-Fang Fist, and Destroyers converged on the Emperor from three directions. He did not move to avoid them. The attack struck his golden aura and simply stopped, their energy dissipating like raindrops striking a furnace. With a flick of his hand, the Emperor sent the three warriors flying, their bodies smashing through several buildings before finally skidding to a halt. Second wave, Piccolo shouted, charging as Android 18 launched forward beside him. The Neo-Namekian fired a special beam cannon straight at the Emperor's chest, while 18 swept in from behind for a flanking strike. This time, the Emperor deigned to move, slipping past Piccolo's attack with impossible speed for a being of his size. As 18 closed the gap, he spun, his cloak whipping outward and engulfing her in a swirl of golden fabric. When it fell back into place, 18 was gone. 18, Krillin cried, horror tearing through his voice. The Emperor made another lazy gesture, and 18 reappeared high above, tumbling limply to the ground. She was alive, but every one of her mechanical systems had been shut down, leaving her completely incapacitated. Enough games. Vegeta snarled, his aura erupting into a blazing blue inferno as he ascended into Super Saiyan Blue. Beside him, Goku did the same, while Gohan powered up into his ultimate form. Earth's three strongest defenders attacked in unison, moving so fast that to watching eyes they were nothing but streaks of light. Goku and Vegeta hammered the Emperor with a relentless storm of blows, while Gohan gathered a Masenko between his hands. For the first time, the Emperor visibly applied effort. His sword and staff became blows of motion, intercepting punches and kicks with flawless precision. Wherever the flaming blade swept, the air itself ignited, forcing Goku and Vegeta to twist and weave around the trailing arcs of fire. Even so, they refused to yield, their combined speed and coordination driving the Emperor steadily backward. Gohan spotted an opening and loosed his Masenko, the energy wave lancing toward the Emperor's back as he parried the two Super Saiyans. The blast struck dead center between the Emperor's shoulders, engulfing inside, the Emperor was still hovering, armor scorched but largely undamaged. He turned, slowly, to face Gohan, and the half-sane felt ice creep through his veins at the look burning in those star-bright eyes. Impressive, the Emperor admitted. You have compelled me to exert myself. Few can claim as much. Then he went on the attack. His sword swept out in a wide horizontal arc, a tidal wave of golden flame surging outward from its path. Goku and Vegeta barely escaped, darting clear at the last instant, while Gohan was clipped at the edge of the blaze, his gate igniting as he spiraled toward the ground. The Emperor leveled his staff at Vegeta. A lance of pure white light burst from its tip. The Saiyan Prince raised his arms to block, but the beam ignored his guard entirely, passing straight through to strike him in the chest. Vegeta's body seized in mid-air, his Super Saiyan blue form flickering as golden energy tore through him. Your mind is formidable, Prince of Vegeta, the Emperor's voice echoed inside his skull. But all minds bow to me in the end. Vegeta battled the intrusion, his pride fueling his resistance where others would already have broken. Yet even his legendary will began to splinter under the unending psychic assault. Seeing his friend in peril, Goku gathered his strength and unleashed his mightiest technique. Ka-me-ha-me-ka-me. The massive energy beam shot toward the Emperor, its blue light temporarily overwhelming even his golden radiance. The Emperor raised his sword to meet the attack, and the Kamehameha wave crashed against the flaming blade. For a moment, it seemed the energy would overwhelm him, pushing him backward through the sky. Then the Emperor brought his staff forward as well, crossing it with the sword, and the Kamehameha began to bend, its energy being drawn into the crossed weapons as if they were consuming it. Goku poured more power into the attack, his aura flaring ever brighter. But the Emperor continued to absorb the energy, his own golden light growing more intense with each passing second. Finally, with a gesture of finality, the Emperor swept both weapons downward, sending the absorbed energy back at Goku in a golden wave that struck the Saiyan with the force of his own attack multiplied tenfold. Goku's transformation failed as he was sent crashing to the earth, creating a crater in the heart of West City. The Emperor descended slowly to hover above the fallen warrior, his expression impassive despite the battle. You fought well, he acknowledged. In another life, you might have stood among my greatest champions, but this resistance must end. Earth is the cradle of humanity, and it shall be the heart of my new Imperium. Goku struggled to rise, his body battered, but his will unbroken.
We're not done yet, he managed, reaching for the reserves of power deep within himself. The Emperor raised his sword, preparing to deliver a final psychic assault that would bend Goku's mind to his will, as it had so many others. Your defiance ends now, son Goku. But before the blow could fall, a new voice rang out across the battlefield. Hawkeye, a sphere of purple energy, suddenly engulfed the Emperor's sword arm. The divine energy of destruction, eating away at the golden aura that had seemed impenetrable moments before. The Emperor jerked back, actual surprise showing on his face for the first time, as he beheld the newcomer. Beerus, god of destruction, stood upon a floating rock formation, his arms crossed, and his expression one of annoyed displeasure. Beside him, Whis observed with his usual enigmatic smile. You know, Beerus strolled. I was enjoying a perfectly good nap when I felt the balance of the universe being disturbed. Imagine my irritation at finding some self-proclaimed emperor redecorating my domain without permission. The Emperor regarded the destroyer god with narrowed eyes, flexing his sword arm where the Hawkeye energy had temporarily disrupted his aura. You possess the energy of entropy, he observed, a god of ending yet not of chaos. As I have known it, I am Beerus, god of destruction. The feline deity announced with typical arrogance, and you are trespassing in Universe 7. Gods, the Emperor's voice held contempt. In my universe, I have seen beings that called themselves gods. I have watched them fall. I have watched them die. Beerus's eyes narrowed dangerously. Is that a threat, little Emperor? A statement of fact, Destroyer. Your kind exists to maintain balance. I exist to elevate humanity beyond the need for such cosmic arbiters. Big talk. Beerus smirked. Let's see if you can back it up. With that, the god of destruction vanished, reappearing instantly before the Emperor. His movement was so fast that even Goku's eyes could barely track it. Beerus's fist connected with the Emperor's jaw in an uppercut that would have shattered planets. The Emperor's head snapped back from the impact, but he did not fall. Instead, his golden aura flared brighter, and he countered with a sweep of his staff that Beerus was forced to dodge, the weapon passing close enough to singe the destroyer's fur. Interesting, Beerus commented, dancing back. You can take a punch from a god of destruction. Most impressive for a mortal. I am no mere mortal, the Emperor replied, his voice resonating with power. I am humanity's future incarnate, the master of mankind across all realities. Beerus attacked again, this time unleashing a barrage of destruction energy that the Emperor deflected with his sword, each impact sending shock waves across the city below. Buildings crumbled, streets buckled, and civilians who had not already fled themselves running for their lives as godly power clashed with transdimensional might above them. As the battle raged, Whis appeared beside Goku, helping the injured Saiyan to his feet. Fascinating, isn't he? The angel commented, nodding toward the Emperor. A being who ascended to near godhood through sheer force of will and psychic potential in his universe. He stood as the linchpin of humanity's survival for millennia. He wants to enslave everyone here. Goku protested. Take over their minds like he did on planet Vegeta. Yes, Whis acknowledged. His methods are rather absolute. In his reality, such measures were necessary against the threats humanity faced. Here, however, they represent a significant cosmic imbalance. Above them, the clash between Beerus and the Emperor intensified. The god of destruction was clearly surprised by the resistance he faced, his initial confidence giving way to serious combat focus. The Emperor, for his part, seemed to be adapting to the divine energy Beerus wielded, his counters becoming more effective with each exchange. Lord Beerus cannot defeat him, can he? Goku asked, watching the battle with a warrior's understanding. Defeat perhaps eventually, Whis replied thoughtfully, but complete victory is unlikely for either combat. The Emperor exists partially outside our cosmic hierarchy, making him resistant to divine authority, yet he is also constrained by the physical laws of our universe, which limit the full expression of his power. Then what do? We smiled enigmatically. Sometimes, Son Goku, the solution to a problem is not to overcome it through force, but to understand its true nature. Before Goku could question this cryptic advice, the battle above reached a new level of intensity. Beerus, growing frustrated with the Emperor's resilience, unleashed a sphere of destruction energy large enough to envelop a moon. The Emperor met it with a blast of golden psychic fire from his sword. The two attacks colliding in midair with catastrophic force, the resulting explosion sent both combatants hurtling backward. Buildings across West City shattered from the shockwave, and a mushroom cloud of dust and energy rose above the metropolis. When visibility returned, both Beerus and the Emperor remained floating, each showing signs of exertion, but neither defeated. Enough, a new voice called out, and all combatants turned to see Supreme Kai materializing in the air between the two powerful beings. This battle threatens the fabric of reality itself. The Emperor regarded the divine being with stern assessment. Another god, you multiplied in this reality like vermin. Supreme Kai ignored the insult. Emperor of mankind, you do not belong in this universe. Your presence here disrupts the cosmic balance in ways you cannot comprehend. I comprehend more than you know. Kai, the Emperor replied. I see a universe of order without purpose, of power without direction. I see species with potential squandered on petty conflicts and meaningless pursuits. I see humanity confined to a single world when it should rule the stars, and you would remedy this by enslaving minds across the galaxy. Supreme Kai challenged by bending all wills to your singular vision. Unity of purpose requires unity of mind. The Emperor stated, "In my universe, division meant extinction. Humanity survived because I forged it into a single spear aimed at the heart of chaos. I shall do the same here before threats you cannot imagine find their way into this virgin reality." Goku, having recovered some of his strength, flew up to join the confrontation. "But there are no threats like that here," he argued. "No chaos gods, no warp, none of the enemies you fought in your reality." Yet, the Emperor's voice was implacable. "But reality is a tapestry, son Goku. Threads connect all universes at their foundations, where humanity exists. Those who would prey upon it will eventually find their way. I have seen it. I have fought it for longer than your civilization has existed. I shall not allow humanity to face such horrors unprepared again." For a moment, Goku glimpsed something in the Emperor's burning eyes. A vision of the reality he had known. Of horrors beyond comprehension that had necessitated the creation of the Imperium. Of endless war against entities that fed on suffering and despair. Of heroes and traitors, of sacrifice on a scale that dwarfed anything this universe had known. "But that doesn't give you the right to take away our freedom," Goku insisted, shaking off the psychic vision. "People here deserve to choose their own path, even if it's not the one you would pick for them." The Emperor regarded him with something like pity. "Freedom is a luxury of the ignorant, son Goku. Those who have seen the true face of chaos understand that unity is the only shield against annihilation." "Maybe in your universe," Beerus interjected, having recovered his composure. "But this one plays by different rules. Here the gods maintain balance, and mortals chart their own course within that framework." "A framework doomed to fail," the Emperor countered. "Gods fall, civilizations crumble. Only humanity's ascension to true mastery of its potential offers salvation from the darkness between stars." As they argued, Whis had been observing with growing interest. Now he stepped forward, his staff glowing with subtle energy. "Perhaps," the angel suggested, "there is a way to resolve this impasse without further destruction." All eyes turned to the attendant of the god of destruction, Emperor of Mankind. "We stress the golden giant directly. Your presence in this universe is both anomaly and opportunity. You bring knowledge of threats unknown to us, yet your methods threaten the very balance that allows life to flourish here." The Emperor's expression remained stern, but he did not dismiss the angel's words outright. "I propose a compromise," Wisse continued. "Not the submission you demand, nor the exile these defenders seek, but a synthesis. Share your knowledge, your vision of humanity's potential, but allow it to develop according to the natural laws of this universe, rather than through psychic domination. Compromise leads to weakness," the Emperor stated flatly. "Division breeds vulnerability or diversity," Goku countered. "On Earth, different people with different strengths come together when faced with a threat. We don't need one person controlling everyone's minds to unite us." The Emperor's golden aura pulsed, his psychic power probing the minds of those around him, testing their conviction. What he found gave him pause, not for their strength, but for something unfamiliar to his experience. A unity born not of necessity or fear, but of choice and shared purpose. "Your universe has known peace," he observed. "At last, mine never did. The measures I enacted were born of eternal war, of threats you cannot conceive. Then help us prepare without taking away what makes us worth defending," Goku urged. "Train us, warn us, but let us choose to follow you rather than being forced." For a long moment, the Emperor was silent, his burning gaze fixed on some distant point, as if seeing across time and space to possibilities yet unrealized. When he spoke again, his voice had lost some of its psychic weight, becoming almost contemplative.
For 10,000 years, I sat upon the golden throne, my body a withered husk, my mind the only bulwark between humanity and extinction. I watched civilizations rise and fall, watched heroes become monsters, and monsters achieve redemption. Through it all, humanity endured because I allowed it no alternative. He looked down at his restored body, whole and powerful as it had been during the Great Crusade, before the Horus heresy had shattered his physical form. Now I find myself in a universe untainted by the warp, with my power restored, and humanity yet in its infancy among the stars. Perhaps there is another way. Supreme Kai stepped forward, cautiously. What are you proposing, Emperor? A test, the Emperor declared. I shall release those I have brought under my influence. I shall withdraw to a single world at the edge of this galaxy. There I shall build not an imperium of submission, but a beacon of possibility. Those who wish to learn of humanity's true potential may seek me out freely. Those who do not may continue on their chosen paths. And if threats from your reality do find their way here, Beerus asked skeptically, then I shall stand with humanity against them, the Emperor replied. Not as master, but as guardian, and we shall see whether freedom produces the strength needed to face the darkness, or whether my original assessment proves correct. Goku extended his hand toward the towering figure. That sounds like a fair compromise. The Emperor regarded the offered hand with mild surprise, as if the gesture was foreign to him. After a moment's hesitation, he reached out, his massive gauntlet engulfing Goku's hand completely, a compact and freedom for vigilance. As their hands touched, a pulse of energy passed between them. Golden psychic power meeting pure ki in a synthesis, never before seen in either universe. For an instant, both beings glimpsed possible futures, branching paths of development, where humanity either ascended to heights unimagined, or fell to horrors from beyond the veil of reality. The Emperor withdrew his hand, his expression thoughtful, interesting. Your ki energy, it resonates with psychic potential in ways I had not anticipated. Perhaps there is more to this universe's development than I had perceived. Without further explanation, the Emperor rose higher into the sky, his golden aura expanding until it enveloped the entire city. Then with a gesture of his sword, the aura receded, drawing back into him like the tide returning to the sea. Across the galaxy, on 100 worlds where his influence had spread, minds suddenly found themselves freed from psychic domination. The golden light that had permeated their skies faded, leaving only memories of a presence that had briefly touched their thoughts with visions of unity and purpose. It is done, the Emperor declared. I have released those I had bound to my will. Now we shall see whether your way leads to ascension or destruction. With those words, he vanished in a flash of golden light, leaving Earth's defenders hovering above the partially destroyed West City. Beerus sniffed disapprovingly. Well, that was dramatic. And here I was, looking forward to a proper fight. Be grateful, Lord Beerus, Wizard chided gently. Had that battle continued, half the galaxy might have been reduced to cosmic dust. Supreme Kai looked troubled. Do you think he will keep his word? Goku nodded slowly. I think so. I felt something when we touched. Not just power, but purpose. He really believes he's protecting humanity in his own way. And the threats he spoke of, Vegeta asked, having recovered enough to rejoin them. Could they truly find their way here? Let us hope we never have to find out. Supreme Kai replied grimly. But if they do, then we'll be ready. Goku finished, and we'll face them our way together. In the days that followed, reports came in from across the galaxy. Planet Vegeta had been returned to its people. The cathedral-like structures and monuments to the Emperor remaining as the only evidence of his brief reign. Frieza's forces, leaderless and disorganized, retreated to the fringes of known space, many of their conquered worlds declaring independence for the first time in generations. And at the very edge of the galaxy, on a barren world circling a dying star, a golden light began to shine. could see a citadel taking shape there. Its architecture, unlike anything known in this universe. Its spires reaching toward the stars in silent invitation. Goku stood on the cliffs near his home, gazing up at the night sky, where that distant light could just barely be perceived with the naked eye. He could feel, even across such vast distance, the psychic presence of the Emperor working tirelessly on his new domain, building not an empire of conquest, but a sanctuary of knowledge and preparation. "What did you see?" Vegeta asked, approaching from behind. "When you touched his hand, what vision did you receive?" Goku was silent for a long moment. "I saw two paths," he finally answered. "In one we stood together against shadows I can barely describe. Things from outside reality that feed on fear and pain and despair. In the other, he trailed off." "What? In the other, we stood alone and fell." Vegeta crossed his arms, his expression grim. "And which path do you think we're on?" Goku turned to his rival and friend, a small smile crossing his face. "That's the thing about freedom, Vegeta. The path isn't set. We choose it with every decision we make." Across the galaxy in his golden citadel, the Emperor of Mankind stood upon the highest tower, gazing back toward the small blue world where humanity had begun its journey in this universe. His expression was unreadable, but in the depths of his burning eyes, something like hope flickered alongside his eternal vigilance. The compact was made, freedom for vigilance. And in the darkness between universes, ancient entities stirred, sensing a presence they had hunted across one reality, now emerging in another. The Emperor had bought time, but whether it would be enough remained to be seen. For now, two powers watched and waited, each believing their path was right, each prepared to defend humanity in their own way. The man who would be God, and the Saiyan, who had surpassed gods through the strength of his convictions. The battle was postponed, not ended. The true test would come when the darkness found its way to this virgin universe, as the Emperor knew it inevitably must. But that was a story for another.